Memorandum for the Secretary of War. Date: July 16, 1945. To Mr. Henry Stimson, Secretary of War. From Major General Leslie Groves, Manhattan Engineer District, Army Service Forces, and Director of the Manhattan Project. Subject: the test. Mr. Secretary, this is not a formal military report, but rather an account of what I would have shared with you personally upon returning from New Mexico. At 5:30 a.m. on July 16, 1945, in a remote section of the Alamogordo Air Base, we conducted the first full-scale test of an implosion-type atomic fission bomb. It was the first nuclear explosion in history. For a brief period, there was a lighting effect within a radius of 20 miles equal to several suns in midday. A huge ball of fire was formed, which lasted for several seconds. This ball mushroomed and rose to a height of over 10,000 feet before it dimmed. The light from the explosion was seen clearly at Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Silver City, El Paso, and other points generally to about 180 miles away. The sound was heard to the same distance in a few instances, but generally to about 100 miles. Only a few windows were broken, although one was some 125 miles away. A massive cloud was formed which surged and billowed upward with tremendous power, reaching the substratosphere at an elevation of 41,000 feet, 36,000 feet above the ground, in about 5 minutes, breaking without interruption through a temperature inversion at 17,000 feet, which most of the scientists thought would stop it. 2 supplementary explosions occurred in the cloud shortly after the main explosion. The bomb, detonated atop a 100-foot steel tower, exceeded our most optimistic expectations. Initial estimates place the energy release at 15,000 to 20,000 tons of TNT, though some measurements suggest significantly higher yields. The blast effects were immense. For a brief period, the explosion's light intensity was comparable to multiple midday suns within a 20-mile radius. 2 supplementary explosions followed within the cloud, likely caused by iron igniting upon contact with oxygen. The explosion left behind a 1,200-foot wide crater with a 130-foot wide, 6-foot deep bowl at the center. All vegetation within the area was obliterated. The steel tower completely evaporated. Structures around the site suffered extreme damage. A 4-inch iron pipe, 16 feet tall, set in concrete, was torn apart at 1,500 feet. A massive steel test cylinder, weighing 220 tons, was housed in a reinforced steel tower 70 feet high with concrete foundations. The blast ripped the entire tower from its base, leaving it twisted and flattened. This suggests that unshielded steel and masonry buildings at similar distances would be destroyed. Given these findings, I no longer consider the Pentagon a safe shelter from such a bomb. The cloud carried high concentrations of radioactive material, which dispersed over a vast area. Traces of active material were detected up to 120 miles away. While some ground radiation was high, no evacuation was necessary. Medical teams and scientists monitored radiation levels to safeguard against future claims. For several hours, I was concerned about the fallout, but reports confirmed that no injuries occurred, nor was there property damage outside government areas. Through the Office of Censorship, news reports were controlled, with only an approved statement supplemented by local eyewitness accounts. Notably, a blind woman reportedly saw the flash. Brigadier General Thomas F. Farrell was at the control center located 10,000 yards south of the point of explosion. His impressions are given below.
In the control center, tension was palpable. Dr. Oppenheimer was visibly strained, requiring reassurance from General Groves in the final moments. As the countdown reached 0, the blast produced an overwhelming flash of light, followed by a deep, growling explosion. Some observers were knocked flat by the blast, despite their distance. The explosion's power stunned the assembled scientists, with many praying in anticipation of the unknown. Oppenheimer, initially rigid with tension, visibly relaxed as the explosion confirmed the bomb's success.
I have not written a separate report for General Marshall, assuming you will share this with him. The British ambassador, Lord Halifax, after consulting with Mr. Harrison and myself, chose not to report details to his government at this time. We recognize that our true objective remains ahead. This test was a milestone, but the final test will be on the battlefield in Japan. I deeply appreciate your message of congratulations and the unwavering support and confidence you have placed in me throughout this endeavor.